shifting traditions at Independent University have certainly inspired um, many issues that have raised concerns with enrollment, lack of alumni support, and decreased funding from alumni and community members, which have contributed to a number of ill advised decisions within the organization. Tradition and shifting leadership are certainly some of the factors that play a role, but I also think it's important to highlight the decline of the athletic program at Independent University. I'd like to make a comparison to the death penalty that was handed down by the NCAA governing board in 1986 to Southern Methodist University and their football program. The reason for the death penalty was primarily due to the fact the school had a number of compliance issues over an extended period of time, much of which I believe, or some of those situations were actually hidden from the NCAA. The short end of the story is that the death penalty put SMU in a difficult position. A once prominent football program never returned to the state of excellence that it was prior to the death penalty. Enrollment was reduced, and alumni support also waned in the years after that death penalty was put in place. Now, the scale is much larger at Southern Methodist University compared to IU, but I think it's important to highlight just how important a football program can be to an academic institution like Independent University, whether it's at an NCAA Division I, II, or III level. And the termination of the IU football program in 2005 certainly contributed to poor alumni relations and reduced enrollment. Most of the football players, once the football program was terminated at IU, departed and transferred to other schools. Now, there were a number of causes or reasons, I should say, that leadership chose to make this decision, even though I don't believe it was the correct decision. Primarily revolved around insufficient funding, high program costs to run that football program, and that is true. Typically, the football program at most schools has much more budgetary needs and requirements than any other sports program, both male or female. There was also a program equity concern. Title IX calls for equitable opportunities, and that they must be provided for both genders within the athletic program. And it just so happened that IU was also found to be out of compliance with Title IX, and their women's athletic program suffered because of it. So the termination of the football program essentially killed two birds with one stone, in essence, or I'm assuming that that's the type of consideration that was made by leadership at the time. I think it was a short-term fix that failed to recognize a lot of the long-term effects at the institution, which just so happened to be made by a president who shortly after the termination of the IU football program left. I believe it was about 2 years later. So the decline of the athletic program, especially the termination of the football program at IU and women's athletics out of compliance, certainly created additional issues that have been previously mentioned. And again, the shifting leadership ideals, the change and the transition from one era to another at that school has certainly attributed and caused a lot of concerns at IU. Now, how to address those concerns and move on will be addressed by my teammates throughout the rest of the presentation.